Let's get straight into that magnificent news with outgoing Liberal Senator Holly Hughes and One Nation Leader Pauline Hanson. Thanks for joining me. Now, Jacinta Price, of course, joined Sky News last night to talk about why she crossed over to the Liberals. Here she was.
Yes, I've always felt like the Liberal Party room is my natural home, given, the Liberal Party is the freedom party, the party of responsibility. Given the current circumstances, I think now more than ever, we need strong people within the Liberal Party. We need to be able to rebuild. We need to ensure that we don't lose support.
Well, that didn't go down too well with her former Nationals colleagues. Here was Matt Canavan last night.
It's the sort of behaviour I think Australians appreciate. And it's the kind of thing that Lydia Thorpe did. How is what Jacinta's doing any different from what Lydia did?
You're not
in fact,
seriously...
it's worse than Lydia. Lydia at least had a policy disagreement with the Greens. Jacinta's left in this case. She's left our party, left her colleagues, left the people that supported her. Not sort of behaviour you should be proud of.
Lydia Thorpe, seriously? And then Bridget McKenzie this morning.
What I'm very concerned about is that it now seems that the Liberal Party was actively recruiting Senator Nampijinpa Price 5 days out from an election. That is not the behaviour of partners, of trusted partners.
Well, I think Matt and Bridget are two great talents there, but I also think Jacinta Price has made the right move and should be the deputy leader with Angus Taylor. That's my line. But Holly Hughes might have a different thought. But Holly, tell us first of all, how does the voting work inside that Liberal Party room? What actually happens?
So it's been really interesting to see this speculation that you might have a ticket go forward in the vote. That's not how it usually works, because you vote once for the leader and then there's a second vote for the deputy leader. So it's not done together. Tickets haven't traditionally been done, but when they are, they do tend to split. So whilst Angus Taylor, I'm sure, would be desperate to try and benefit from a bolster from Jacinta Price, I think Jacinta would be doing herself a disservice by signing up to a ticket, because she may very well find it pushes people away from her. But I can understand why Angus is desperate for all the help he can get.
So theoretically, you could end up with Susan Lee and Jacinta Price.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that people can work together. And if you put yourself on a ticket and you end up in a situation where it is Susan Lee and Jacinta Price, you want to be able to start that off on a fresh foot, not saying, well, the Canberra Press Gallery would straight away go, well, now there's straight dissension in the rank because Jacinta wanted to work with Angus. So,
right, OK. Well, I'll get back to you about Susan Lee in a second, but I want to get Pauline Hanson's thoughts. Pauline, personally, I think this is a great move, getting Jacinta into the Libs, but tell me your thoughts, Senator Hanson.
Well, I can understand why Matt and Bridget are so angry about this, because I've lost members of parliament that have got elected on the banner of my party name and have gone across to another party. It's not very good, and especially after an election when a lot of money and work has gone into it for her to secure that seat. Now, she's going to be in the Senate. To be the deputy, look, I'm sure that Littleproud will be glad to see the back end of her, because he would have been a real threat to his position as leader of the Nats. But then again, Jacinta, I like her. I've got a lot of time for her. She did really well with her voice. But what's her experience across other portfolios to hold the position of deputy opposition leader or deputy of the Liberal Party? That's another thing you have to consider. She's won the public vote by all means, but it goes beyond that, Rowan. You have to have the intestinal fortitude and the policies to go with it as well to behold that position if the Liberal Party are going to move forward. I can see that it's going to be beneficial to her in the long run, but she can't stay in the Senate. She's only in for 3 years. So what's going to happen in the next election? They will have to find her a safe seat. So then where are they going to put her? And also, this is going to cause problems between the two parties, because the Nats and Libs will have to get over this. There's other talent there, and I tell you who would have been far better as the deputy leader, and that's Michaelia Cash or James Paterson. They're two that I think have got a lot of talent, and it's untapped, and I think that Jacinta should have been left where she is for another little bit longer and then looked at that moving forward.
OK, so Holly, I want to ask you, I agree wholeheartedly with Pauline that there's an awful lot of talent that is untapped in the Liberal Party, and then more importantly in both parties, the Liberals and the Nationals. But tell me your thoughts on the Susan Lee versus Angus Taylor, which is what it appears to be coming down to.
Yeah, so I think Susan is fantastic. I've known both of them for a very, very long time. She has an incredible background, whether it is growing up all around the world. She understands rural and regional areas. I'm pretty sure she's one of the few people in Parliament who can shear a sheep. She's a commercial pilot. You know, she's got a huge depth of experience. She's not standing there going, hey, I went to a GPS school and a Rhodes Scholar, so the achievements I made before 30 are the reason you should be electing me, which if you listen to some of the reasoning behind Angus Taylor, I think, you know, it's like someone in their 40s putting their HSC result on their CV. I mean, come on, grow up. What have you done recently? And I think what Angus has done recently showed that he either didn't do the work or he wasn't up to the job, because the policy dearth that we had to sell during this campaign, we didn't have a tax policy.
Yeah, but more I'm going to stop you there.
Because, I'm going
to stop you right there for the simple reason that anything you can lay at the feet of Angus Taylor during the election campaign, Susan Lee was the deputy.
That is actually not true. And I'll tell you why, because Angus Taylor and Jane Hughes were in charge of the ERC process, which goes through the campaign.
Badly, and she was the deputy leader.
They were responsible for pulling together.
Something more important.
Rowan, you've got to be honest.
Yes.
Jane Hume and Angus Taylor were responsible for pulling together policy positions, because as Finance Minister and Treasurer,
I'm going to stop you again because this is in the Beltway stuff. I want to go back to Pauline.
But that's the reality of the jobs they had to do.
Pauline, who would you prefer to see leading? Who would be as good a leader as you are of One Nation? Who would be as good a leader of the Liberal Party or of the coalition? Tell me.
I'm glad I haven't got these leadership challenges, I tell you. But the fact is that Susan Lee, OK, she was the one years ago who didn't support the sheep export. She was quite happy to get rid of the live sheep export. Also, I went to her as environmental minister in the, I think it was the Morrison government, not the Turnbull one, and about environment issues about a mine, coal mine in Queensland, which she could have done something about. She never did anything about it. So she doesn't inspire me as a leader. I've watched her in these interviews. She leaves me just wanting, what are you standing for? Show me some leadership skills or qualities. Angus Taylor, well, I think that he could have actually done more during the election with finance and with, you know, decent policies to actually counteract the Labor Party's policies. So they don't inspire me. I think both parties are lacking good talent on the floor of Parliament. Go back to the Howard days. There was great front bench ministers on either side of Parliament. We're lacking that today in our Parliament. OK,
I'm going to quickly... Every time, Holly, I hear Susan Lee's name, I think of this ad from the 80s.
Tees and overalls $19 each. Only at Suzanne. Right now.
Well,
the reason being there are two S's, and her name is Susan Lee. Tell me why there are two S's in her name.
I've heard different
stories. Tell me why there are two S's in her name. Well, I'll tell you then, because she's into numerology, the same as Simon Reynolds or Marcus Jackson or all these other people from the 80s and 90s who were into numerology, loads of them in advertising. I saw them all, and they stuck an extra letter for some madcap reason into their name. My understanding... Please correct me, Susan Lee, if this is not the case, is she stuck an extra S in there because she believes in numerology. Does the Liberal Party need a leader who believes in numerology as the way to make decisions?
Well, I don't think that's how Susan's going to make decisions, but, you know, you never know. Perhaps that extra S is what's going to see her over the line, and I hope so on
maybe
Tuesday.
It'll be the Liberal Party.
Maybe it is good luck.
Party with 2 or 3 I's and a couple of B's.
I think that's being ridiculous.
Well, putting an extra S in your name is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Lots of people spell their name in very weird and unusual ways.
Well, I don't. Rowan, from now on, maybe I'll be lucky. You've got 2 L's in Holly, but they were there all along. Let's go back to Pauline. Is it Pauline Hanson from now on?
Rowan, I can tell you something. The Liberal Party don't need another moderate or a progressive leading it. They need to get back to the grassroots. And I don't believe that Susan Lee is the one for it. So anyway, that's my opinion. Put Michaelia Cash in. I'd have more confidence in her with the conservative values of what the Liberal Party stands for. Otherwise, I don't mind. Keep going down that path, because I'm going to pick up your votes, because I'll stand for the conservative values that the Liberal Party don't.
100%.
We could lose Michaelia as leader in the Senate for the Liberals, because if Jacinta becomes deputy leader,
we will carry on this conversation. It'll be fascinating to see what happens on Tuesday in the party room. That's it for Holly and Pauline. Thanks so much for coming on.